Hi everyone. Today I am presenting to you a digital drawing I did in Feb 2025. It has simplification principle applied in it as well as the values and the colors too. I was trying to work with the structure of the face and apply Loomis method here by observing the reference, but I think it does not look very proper and neat. I will definitely try out the Loomis method and other methods when taking up anatomy in my journey later on. While drawing this, my proportions were a bit off at this point, so I used the lasso tool to fix them. I usually avoid the lasso tool because traditionally you don't have that option, and I wanted to keep that in mind while practicing, but it really is a useful tool, especially for exercises like this when you don't want to stress over small mistakes. It can be a big help. What I am working on at this stage is getting my proportions correct, going over the lines to correct mistakes in the shapes while also capturing the other areas of the face, for example, the cheekbone area and the shadow on the neck, etc. We are keeping the sketch rough and messy because I don't intend to really include it in the end result. These lines for the flowers sitting on her head are quite organic, so even if it doesn't match with the reference, it wouldn't look bad at all. So here I have a lot more freedom to make mistakes as they won't be so noticeable. As soon as I finished the sketch, I started working on the values. Traditionally, my values and colors are not great, so I usually focus mostly on proportions and drawing. But digitally, I find it easier to do the values and the colors, so that's why I'm practicing them here. This brush is pressure sensitive, so if I layer it softly on top of itself, it gradually builds up the values, giving me more control. Here I am also trying to simplify the values while constantly checking with the reference. I did this quickly just to understand the values, which is why it looks a bit rough and messy. Identifying values in a colored photo is a great exercise to train your eyes to see different values. I'll definitely focus on this exercise even more when we reach the values section. We can start with a black and white photo, then move to a colored one with strong lighting, and finally a photo where the lighting is very soft, which makes the shadows a bit harder to distinguish. This way we can learn to read the full value range. I am starting with blocking in the base or the flat colors by eyeballing the reference and guessing the average color for each area. Our guesses don't have to be accurate right now, but with enough practice, we will be able to make better, more accurate guesses in the future. Usually, skin color is very simple to pick a base color for. I also have seen lots of tutorials for skin rendering, and there is a section of orange that we usually pick from for the skin tone. So we don't have to think too much, but just pick something to begin with. Adding a layer filled with black as a background and placing it at the bottom of the flat color layer. Now it's much easier to paint on top and make corrections. The details layer is where I will be doing most of the work. Now I'm starting by seeing what colors are where and putting them in. This is a complete guesswork and it's not supposed to be 100% accurate. We are always in charge of making changes in a digital drawing anyway, so it is a bit freeing to be experimenting. The light seems to be coming from the subject's right side, as the shadow on the subject's neck is being formed on the left side. Now I am focusing on the darker mid-tone colors, like the ones on the neck the right cheek, and the forehead. If I am not wrong, I think these are called subsurface scattering light. I'll admit I don't know much about light and color yet, and I still need to study even the basics in depth. Sometimes my guesses are a little exaggerated on purpose, like that purple on the left side of the forehead seems a bit too much in front of the reference. I include those colors because I find them very interesting and beautiful in a drawing. The lips were surprisingly very tricky, even though that is such a small part of the drawing. It got me confused. I kept getting the values wrong each time and ended up making it a bit darker instead. But for some weird reason, I just didn't understand how to work here. The way I like to blend colors is by adding a color that sits between the two on the color wheel so the transition feels smooth. I've also used the blending brush in Photoshop before, but this year I have been trying to do it manually. I think it starts looking kind of nice from here. I have tried making the shadow on that side of the face to be bluish or purplish in nature, but an issue I see here is not smoothing the shadow on the chin area on the light side of the face. So now it looks like a hard edge, while it should have been softer instead. I like the way I'm approaching the hair in this drawing. I think those shapes look very nice and meaningful. I like the idea of putting some strokes down and then erasing them with the color underneath to give them that beautiful shape. I'm also satisfied with how I did the hair in this one. Lastly, I'm adding the details in the flowers. It was shockingly very hard to draw that green flower or leaves. Then I'm just making corrections. There were some corrections made after I stopped recording whenever I opened the file. I really enjoyed making this art. Hope you enjoyed watching the process too. Honestly, this is my greatest art by far, even after these months. I have not seriously done another long hour digital art like this, maybe because of the fear that it might not look as good in my mind, which actually has happened with some pieces after this one. Although I have started getting back at it now, so I will post some of my work whether it looks good to me or not. Thanks for watching. Please share your views or feedback, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.